So I don't know. Maybe I get 50K. I don't know. I hope not that anybody. I want everybody to have bad fights, but I just hope they have worse fights than me.
The AllStar app, the number one app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. The UFC Apex. I think you fought in the Apex. Like, I think this is going to be your seventh time. That's pretty insane,
Seventh.
right?
Yeah, you know what? That's funny because my coach just told me like this is your seventh time there, and I'm like, that's insane. I didn't even realize that I did that until just recently somebody told me that.
Do you enjoy fighting there?
I loathe it. I hate it. I want to. I would love to fight somewhere else. My big thing, one of my big goals with fighting in the UFC was like for it to be like a vessel for me to travel the world. You know what I mean? To get to see new things and stuff like that because I haven't really didn't really go many places as a kid, and I really want to see the world. And so far, I have a very I know Vegas very well.
Mhm. Yeah, Vegas, man. It's a weird place, right? It's not like a normal city.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, well, the Strip. It's weird because like the Strip is like its own thing. It's like
Mm.
its own city. It's like so different than the rest of Vegas. And I lived in Vegas too for the 2 months or whatever when I did the Ultimate Fighter. So we drove around a lot to the gyms and took different ways and all that stuff, and got to see other parts of Vegas.
When they announced the Australia card, were you trying to get on that one? You said you wanted to travel the world, and I would think Justin Taffa would have been a good matchup right there.
I didn't even honestly. I should be more aware of like where fights are happening so I can try to get on there. I'm not, I don't know the process of that. Like, I just assume, like, I just take what they give me. You know what I mean? I get a fight offered. I say yes. I fight. You know what I mean? I don't really know. I probably have to win some more fights to get some sort of pull to where I can have a say in anything. You know what I mean? So,
Just go on social media and just call out people, I guess. That's what you see all the time. I don't know if it actually works or not
Mm.
because everybody tags like Dana White and Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, but usually it never comes together.
Anything I've ever tagged Dana in, he's never seen it. He doesn't follow me on Instagram either. It's
Yeah.
funny he's like my boss, but like I talk to Mick all the time. Mick is
Mm.
an awesome guy. He's a really nice guy. I don't really talk to Sean.
Yeah, Mick, I believe he just deals with the heavyweights, right?
Yeah, I think it's like heavyweights and the women fighters, and it's like a certain weight above. Maybe it's 185 and up, I think is Mick.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure, but I think that's what it is. And then
Now,
Sean is everything below.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mick, I've only heard good things. I've actually met Mick. I've never met Sean. Jamal Pogues, man, your opponent. What do you think of him and the skill set that he possesses?
I think he's a super athletic guy. Uh I think he's talented in multiple areas. I think that I think he's very fast, but I don't think he hits as nearly as hard as some of the fighters I've fought before, which is kind of like I don't know, that's like a comfort in itself, you know what I mean? I'm less likely to get knocked out, you know. And by, his record statistically, he does a lot of decisions. So I think that he's really good at just breaking people, pointing people down and but I think I'm unbreakable, man. I think I've had one fight where it's like my opponent didn't break me, I broke me. I broke me weeks before the fight, you know what I mean? But like a person is not going to break me in that moment. And right now, I'm in a good mindset. So I think he's gonna have a hard time putting it to me.
So basically, you've had back-to-back fight camps, man, like two fight camps in a row. How has that benefited you?
Fighters say this all of the time. So I know people take it for grain of salt, but like
Mm.
I am the best shape I've ever been in by far. And I think it's because I had that hard camp, which I really focused on conditioning. Um, and then obviously I didn't fight, I didn't take damage, I didn't go through the adrenaline, because like
Mm.
after that big adrenaline dump, me personally, it takes weeks for me to be the same person again. You know what I mean? Because like it just takes everything out of me. I didn't have that. So, and then a week later, and I said that week, I mean, I was that this is the longest I've took in between fights or between training has been a week. And that was because that heart thing, like that was a scary situation. And I went and got checked out by a cardiologist and gave me the okay, and I went back to training. But so like normally a fight camp is like you're climbing, then you fall and you climb again, you go a little bit higher. But like I didn't really fall that much. It was like boop and
Mhm.
right back up for this camp. And my numbers on my heart monitor are like the highest I've ever been. I broke my highest heart rate by like 5 like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just not getting tired right now, which is crazy. This is a phenomenon right now.
Are you doing anything different? Is that why your conditioning is so good?
I think it might be just the consistency of doing a lot of aerobic cardio, kind of like that steady state, like around 140, 150, just staying in there. And I haven't done that before. I've always been like, I fight for cardio, right? I'm fighting and I'm learning that like by fighting and training, you might be gaining a little bit of like, might be gaining a little cardio, might be gaining, muscular endurance and stuff like that. But really what you're doing is, in my opinion, by training is you're gaining composure in situations and learning how to use what you have in those moments. Knowing when to go, knowing when to reserve, you know what I mean? Like not so much building and I've spent a lot more time doing cardio on the bike, on the what is that called? It's like a pull the ropes down. I do it all the time and I forget what it's called. Um
Don't you hate that?
rowing
Like,
machine.
you do something or you know the thing that you use,
Yeah.
but you don't know the name and you always forget the name, and there's no need for you to even
Yeah.
remember the name of it?
There's no yeah, just a machine that I use, yeah. I've never been asked about it, but yeah, I just doing so much of that kinda cardio and, like, my capacity for work has gone up a lot so I can do more and like, I can go to my, AM session with, James doing mitts and grappling and all that stuff, and then I go right into my session with Chris, my strength conditioning coach, uh and it's totally fine. Like before, it was just like I need like a couple hours. I just can't even possibly do that. So that's been a big difference too.
With this higher level of conditioning, do you feel like in sparring, do you feel like more elusive? Do you feel like you're picking up the volume even more? You have knockout power, that's not a problem. It's just, do you feel that difference in you?
Yeah, I do feel like I can just have confidence to do more. Um, and I can do it for a long time. Yeah. So it's tough. If moving around a lot and I've always had good cardio striking though, so like that's not been too much. But really what I think the difference is be able to go from and this has always been the hardest thing for me, is like we can go to a grappling exchange and I can come right back out and then strike again. And another huge component is like how much uh how ready I am after a minute break. You know what I mean? Like I can work really hard. I can be like, because I'm still like, a hard round, 5 minute round because I'm, I'm giving my all. I'm like, oh, I'm dead by the end of it. I'm tired. But after that minute, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go. That's gonna be huge.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. And also, like, I think another aspect of training that a lot of people don't talk about as heavyweights is the ability to scramble. It's not many guys have like the high level ability to scramble in the heavyweight division. I think it's just a fact, right?
Mm. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that comes a lot down to like getting in good habits of knowing when to spend the energy. Because the position isn't settled, like that's the time to spend the energy. When the position gets settled, they're in good side control. It's like, okay, well, now I'm not gonna spend a ton of energy because it's gonna cost me way more energy. It's gonna cost you to hold me here. I'll wait until you create some space and then I'll try to create a scramble. But I think scrambling before a settled position is like spend the energy, uh, put the effort in, and I think a lot of people don't do that just because they get so used to I don't know, like I'm this now I'm striking, now I'm grappling. You know what I mean? Not like the in between of practicing that. I believe that you're gonna do in a fight what you do in practice, and you can tell yourself that, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this in a fight. But if you don't do it in practice, you're not gonna do it. It's just when autopilot takes over, you're gonna do what we've always done.
One thing you guys have in common is that you guys both have two wins on the Contender Series, which is very rare. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's very rare, but it's a good thing. And what did you think? Did you go back and dissect those two fights a little bit? Did you dig into it?
Yeah, he fought completely different in both fights. Um, I don't know, it was really interesting. Like his opponent, the last fight was kind of tough because like I just don't think his opponent there was just like he was so small. And Jamal is small for a heavyweight. He was trying to fight a light heavy. He was actually trying to fight light heavy. I think it was in December, and then he had to pull out of that fight. So I don't know what he was been doing between December and now. If like he's been still trying to lose weight, or if he's a thick boy right now. I don't know. I'm not sure what how big he's going to be coming into this, but we'll see. I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's one thing I looked at that kind of like shined when you look at his record is that how he's been bouncing back and forth from light heavyweight
Mm.
to heavyweight. So it kind of like is he an in betweener or is he more of a 205er or he just doesn't want to cut weight anymore? Like there's a lot of like would you think size would be a major factor in this fight then?
Yeah, I think it's gonna kind of depend on what he comes in at, right? But at the same time, you don't jump weight like that, and it's not muscle; it's just fat, right? Like if he went down to 205 and then he's now 250, like he's not losing muscle, gaining muscle. It's just weight on his midsection probably. But um, I don't know. I think that if he comes in heavy, it just hurts him more than it hurts me. I This is a body that I've grew up in. You know what I mean? I've fought my entire career in this body and in this weight, and I mean, with him just changing all the time, I feel like it has to be like I don't know. It's gotta be tough. It's like a kid who goes through puberty and their body's just so much bigger and they're gangly and they don't know how to do anything. You know what I mean? They're super unathletic and not that he's unathletic, but like I don't know. I think it's hard to really feel comfortable in your body if it's changing all the time and weight wise and stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
How big were you? How big were you in high school then? Were you this big?
I was like 250s in high school. I was big. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I like my body really hasn't changed. Like I've gotten more muscle and stuff like that. But like as far as like my height and like my proportions and stuff like that, I'm like pretty similar to what I was.
Being 250 in high school, did you play football? Because I figure like that's the first coaches that could be coming up to you telling you like, "Yo, let's get into the let's get into the training room."
Yeah. No, I played football um for one game. They let me in because we were already like 40 points ahead in one play and then they took me out because I don't know how to play football. No, I was not good. Uh I I hated it. Um was not athletic. I still wouldn't say I'm athletic, but I was like way less athletic then and I don't know. It's like I didn't play football up until like 10th or 11th grade, and everybody already knows how to play football, and everybody, is like athletic and stuff like that. And I was like, it was a big mistake. But I don't know, did it. I played basketball, like in like sixth grade, fifth, fourth grade, that area. That's pretty much the only sports I did.
That's interesting because many people consider you a pretty athletic heavyweight. You're pretty light on your feet. You move good from side to side. You have good lateral move. You know what I mean? Like it's. I'm
Mhm.
surprised that you're saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I played World of Warcraft. Actually, I got World of Warcraft open in the background right now of this thing. I have played that for like since I was just, I was well, I guess when it came out in 2000. Just played video games my whole life, right? And all I did through high school was just play WoW. I like didn't do any sports. I didn't do anything really physical at all. So when I started doing something physical, it was really hard to become athletic. Um, But it's just I think that, my advantage is, like, I've been very consistent, like, consistent work, and I've since I've started this thing, I've never taken more than a week off, and I've been doing this for, like, 12 years. In 12 years, I've never taken more than a week off of training. Like, it's just consistent, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the hardest worker in the room or anything like that, but I nonstop always trying to get better and work on whatever I need to work on and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. That you could not really be into sports, and then later in your life turn to fighting and then become a UFC fighter within a certain many years of training. You know what I mean? Like look at Volkanovski, you know what I mean? Like he started training I think when he was like in his early 20s. Like he doesn't have that like
Yeah,
long collegiate like wrestling and like they've been, training since they were a teenager type deal. It was just, he just 22 years old, you know what I mean? That's pretty crazy, right?
yeah, I think that's when I started, 22, 21. Um, I think there is an advantage. I think there's like disadvantages of starting so late, but I think there are some advantages as well as like, a lot of people they will what's the word I'm looking for? They will specialize too soon, right? So like somebody people who have their kids in wrestling or football, like they'll decide that my kid's a football player at 8 years old or 9 years old, and then they'll just nonstop do football training up until whenever, and you're just like you're not a fully formed athlete. You know what I mean? You're like you're good at this thing, and I think that it breaks people down a lot, and I think that's why a lot of people quit sports early because they specialize too early. Um, just while the body is growing and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's like a factual thing. I might just be bro science, but I feel and I think there was like a study too that I saw that why American athletes tend to be like have better athletics is because a lot of countries they do that. They specialize. Like this is you play soccer and you play soccer until the end. You know what I mean? Like America was like, oh, we got basketball season, wrestling season, football season. People are playing baseball, soccer. It's just like a year round, different sports. And I think that's actually beneficial. And I think that's what the article said is that like it's because they're becoming a fully functional athlete and they're not breaking their bodies down and just doing too much of one side of something. You know what I mean?
Your last fight, man, you got the second round finish. You got the performance bonus. It was an impressive win. How do you expect to perform in this one with that momentum?
It feels weird because like even though it wasn't a loss in that fight that fell through, it feels like a loss to me. And I've always bounced back off of a loss. Like I've always done really well after a loss. And I think that's helped me a lot in this one. And I think that I'm gonna come in like I think I'm gonna come in very rare form, hopefully. You know what I mean? Like I think that I'm gonna show the best performance, best I'm gonna give the best performance I've ever given. Um and I think it's gonna be a tough one to get 50K bonus against this guy because I think that I'm gonna have to break him before he breaks me. I think that's what's gonna happen. But I think it's gonna be 15 minutes of two people fighting really hard at heavyweight. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be a boring fight at all. So I don't know. Maybe I get 50K. I don't know. I hope not that I want everybody to have bad fights, but I just hope they have worse fights than me.
That's hey. I would want the same thing if I was a fighter. If I'm on the
Yeah,
card, I'd be like, like
yeah,
let's say you fought early in the card and you had a great finish. I'm thinking the fighters say like, I hope the rest of the fights go to decision.
yeah, 100%. And you see a good knockout, and you're like, no, my money.
Percentage drops, right? Your fight bonus,
Yeah,
percentage drops. But yeah, it is. It is what it is. But yeah, like whenever someone gets like early finishes early in the card, I'm always thinking like, man, I hope they get a bonus because that's a bonus worthy thing. Because sometimes they forget about it. It seems like
yeah,
2 hours
100%.
later.
100%. It's like the main event always gets a bonus. And it's just because it's the last one you saw. Not always is the main event the best fight, but it seems like they always get the bonus.
I don't think there's gonna be a boring fight on February 18th, man. When you face off against Pogues, though, you know what I mean. Everybody go to the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Thank you, Josh, man, for the time and yeah, man.
Sure.
Good luck on the fight, and I'm glad to see that you're back and healthy, man. Especially with what happened in the last fight. The last fight week that you went to.
Yeah, me too. I'm happy to do it again because like that was a scary situation where I thought it was all over. It's like this is done for
Mhm.
me. And then my significant other is like, I don't want to do this anymore either. Like this is tough on me and my life, and
Mhm.
to go through this and the emotional roller coaster she goes through, and especially with like, the scary thing that happened. And but we worked it out, and here we go. We're gonna do it again.